Fairyland Olympics and things like that. But actually, if you don't nip these things in the bud and you don't maintain its exclusivity, it genuinely does dilute our brand and the premiums that we can get for it.
So how are we doing? Anyone stirred in controversy? The lady in the centre there. Hello.
Last year's Beijing Olympic opening ceremony, we can see that the London double-decker red bus, and then Beckham was kicking a ball, and then for Chinese audience, you instantly know that that's a symbol of Great Britain. That's a sports symbol of Great Britain. Yeah. So for your 2012 Olympic game, are you going to co-launch branding of your football, soccer, cultural with the Olympic game together? Because I don't know the situation in other countries, because in China the Premier League is very popular, and then the China Central Television got the broadcasting rights with it. So my friend, they are lawyers. They got up at 3 a.m. to see to see the football game. So to see the soccer game. So do you have that strategy to co-launch of your football and the Olympic together?
No, I mean, I was lucky enough to be at the Beijing Open ceremony, and I have to tell you, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, probably the greatest show that I've ever seen, and I've been to a lot of shows. And what you have, when you have different host cities, they all do things slightly tailored to their culture and slightly tailored to the way that they do things. For us in London, we won't be co-branding. We are, the Olympic and Paralympic Games. We think we're strong enough to stand alone. And also then you become to have problems with sponsor conflicts, because you may have Pepsi that sponsors the Premier League and Coke that sponsors the Olympic Games. So we wouldn't co-brand in that way. We just stand alone.
Sir, over there. Thank you. Just wait for the mic. I know it's itching to get in, but we're all going to hear you better.
I was going to say, Farisha, the issue about branding and partners that you choose, you mentioned the word exclusivity. What sort of criteria are you looking for in your partners? And if they are exclusive, how can they be exclusive in a multiple sense? Or is it across, for example, range of goods or the services that they provide that the exclusivity is defined?
Yeah. The way it works is that the market is separated out, so you're into industries and categories of goods and services, like you say. So we will say that we are looking for an automobile partner, and that the deal could be anything from the provision of cars or cash or a combination. When we will look for an airline partner. So, and what happens is whatever category you buy into, that's the only one you can actually activate against. So if you are a company that manufactures cars and airplanes, but you've only bought into the car category, when you run the airplane part of your business, you cannot tie that into the games, because that's not your category. And that would be the same as a third party who's not a sponsor trying to attach themselves to the games.
Can I just sort of spread a little wider in terms of, the notion of values and brand and the sense of, certainly Cliff talked about athletes identifying with the brand and other groups below that. How much is it that this brand is the property of 100 sort of middle-aged people from the IOC, and they've got this brand and they're self-chosen and they're doing very well to protect it intellectually? And they've kind of got these associations with ancient Olympics and the values with sport. But actually, it really is owned by those 100 or so people.
I mean, legally, it is the property of the IOC, and the trademarks for each different games is the ownership of the city, if you like, not organizers, the city. But what is interesting is your perspective as an athlete, as an Olympian. How do you feel? Do you feel that you own the Olympic symbols, or that you're simply there competing? I mean, this is an opportunity I think we shouldn't lose. The fact that you are here, you're a great chair, but we should also benefit from your insight.
Okay. I mean, my perception that I was thinking was this. I very much have the notion that the rings are the IOC's property.
Yeah.
I have the notion that I have wedded them to values which are important for my identity, as have other athletes, the tattoo. And therefore there's a kind of synergy, and yet I'm also aware, for example, I had a Swatch watch that was somebody in the IC gave me, and it was a real prized possession, and not least because I kind of saw it in the Swatch shop in Lucerne. It was like going for like 2,000 Swiss francs. And at one drunken evening, a Russian friend of mine just took the watch off and exchanged it for some broken old Russian watch of his. And that was a sense of, I'd kind of lost something. But I do then see incredible frustration with the International Olympic Committee, and I think a lot of athletes that aren't in sports like tennis or golf, or I think rugby's probably better, but see the Olympics as not appropriate, and the brand is diluted because the best in the world aren't there. So, yeah, I sort of sell it. I see it as synergised with my own values, but I see it as something out there. It's not really part of me. And I'm very aware of all these copyright issues. There's much more now about the difficulty using the rings. I mean, when I wrote my book, I called it Olympic Obsession, which was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, because that's where I've been to a lot of Olympics. So I think the values and identity are pretty central. How about you? Do you want to come?
You mentioned rugby there. I played rugby professionally for Wasps for about 5 years, and for me the Olympics were always the pinnacle, but irrespective of the fact that I played a different sport. And I just think that that it's so precious and special that the brand transcends issues of kind of buying in. I accept fully that corporations shouldn't be able to use the symbols, but the idea individuals use the symbols, individuals have a sense of ownership which transcends brand, seems to me to be massively, massively important. That you feel that you kind of have a sense of ownership and a sense of pride, that you can exhibit that in ways that involve the Olympics, seems to be massively important.
How are we doing? Gentleman at the back. Yes, hello.
I'm Strong from China. I'm LLM student of the CCLS this year. My question is, what Creamery or CCLS could contribute to the 2012 Olympic Games? Since I raised this question on the basis of last year's when China held the Olympic Games, some top law firms of China just set up an Olympic Games team. They offer the services for the Olympic Games.